All right. Zoning Board of Appeals, Tuesday, November 26, 2024. We'll start with new business. First up, David Hall, 197 Sunset Drive. We don't have him here. He's the one that was applying for the garage.
Yes. No, I cut it upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah. Why don't we just move on to the next one then? See if he's there. Next one, Fannie Mae, 68 Southbridge Road, Charlton.
Good evening.
Counselor, you want to just state your name for the record?
Vanessa Scott on behalf of Fannie Mae for 68 Southbridge.
Okay.
Do you want me to stand?
You can say it's fine. So, do you want to just tell us what you guys are looking to do?
Yeah.
And why you're asking for both a variance and a special permit, or just,
No, just a
the
variance. Yeah, so
Okay.
the property had issued an undersized lot, and we're seeking a gross dimensional variance and also a frontage requirement variance.
Okay.
The lot itself is about 1 less foot shy of the frontage requirements of 175 feet.
Yeah.
And then about 5,800 short of the gross square footage.
Okay.
So the town had denied our building permit application on the grounds that we had abandoned the non-conformity use or status of the property because we hadn't rebuilt the property within 2 years pursuant to the bylaws.
Yeah.
And so I can give you some facts about
Yeah, if you
why
would.
it took so long.
Yeah.
Okay. So to make it as brief as possible, in 2013, there was, the town actually, before the title transferred to Fannie Mae, the town had discovered some theft at the property with copper piping that was connected to an oil tank in the basement, which resulted in about like over 100, 200 gallons of oil leaking into the basement and seeping into the soil. In 2016, the foreclosure occurred and later discovered that there was an environmental hazard. And so at that point, Fannie Mae had engaged and contracted with a company to determine whether the soil and groundwater was contaminated, and the findings confirmed that. So at that time, Fannie Mae engaged with Mass DEP
Yeah.
to determine what plan of action needed to take place to remediate the environmental hazard from the oil spill. And as part of that, that was back in 2019, as part of that, the property needed to be raised and demolished because it was necessary to be able to remove all of the contaminated soil underneath the property. That resulted in 300 cubic yards of soil being removed, and the property was actually demolished in August 2020. And then that was the beginning of the remedial efforts because that needed to take place before everything else happened after the fact. And so for the next 2 years, from August 2020 to 2022, extensive efforts for the cleanup, engaging with, very closely with the Mass DEP. I can tell you a little bit more about those efforts. I don't want to waste your time, but a lot of that was installing monitoring wells to determine the extent of the contamination, testing private wells around the proximity of the contaminated site, testing groundwater and soil throughout, excavating lots of soil to remove all of the contaminated soil, and eventually submitting all of the paperwork and revised documents and plans and everything that goes along with complying with the very stringent Mass DEP regulations. And eventually, on their time frame, the file was closed 2 years later. So as soon as the file was closed, Fannie Mae then shifted gears and did what they needed to do in terms of legwork to get everything they needed to submit a building permit application.
Yeah.
And that obviously included, getting a Title V report, getting septic plans, retaining a contractor, getting designs to build the house. And about three and a half months later, after the file closed with the DEP, our contractor reached out to the building commissioner to submit the building application and was told that it would be denied because we were outside of that 2-year period of time. So then Fannie Mae, again, shifted gears and then retained counsel to figure out what the legal recourse would be. And here we are, submitting for a variance. And I can tell you that the project is for an 1,800 square foot, very modest house, and with, basically within the square footage footprint of the existing dwelling that was demolished. I don't have to tell the board, but, you know, in terms of like the 40A compliance, I mean, it's not extending or expanding or increasing the non-conforming
It's a pretty small
use.
house, though,
It's
it's
a-
not that.
It is a pretty, it was like about a 1,500 square foot house, it's 1,800 square foot.
So it's
now.
not even that much bigger than it was.
No.
Seeing is gonna actually construct a.
Sorry?
They're gonna construct a single-family house on the
Single
property.
family split ranch house on the property. I'm being told by the contractor that if a variance is granted, given the timing of, we're, you know, heading into the winter,
Yeah.
the well would be installed first, if we could do it before, the ground freezes, and then early spring start date, and I'm told just because of the small scale of the project, it would probably take 5 to 6 months total to finish. Yeah, so I mean, I think I understand the commissioner's reasoning, I mean, the bylaws are the bylaws, but I think that the circumstances of this case really do lend itself to issuing a variance, because it's not a situation where we've been sitting on the property for years and years. It actually, into my opinion, is a legal impossibility of complying with it, because the house needed to be demolished before we could do the remediation efforts, and that did, you know, we were complying with the DEP's timeline. It's somewhat beholden to them, and as soon as we did, you know, complete the remediation efforts and apply for the permit, that's when we learned that we were outside the scope of that 2-year period. So that's what we're here for.
You guys have any questions? Jason?
Lots of questions, but nothing.
Nothing has to do
Not
with
out
that,
here.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't see a problem with this at all. There's clearly a hardship created by the DEP's rate compliance over the past 3 or 4 years. I don't know, Eric, what do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. My only question is, it looks like there's about a year and a half in between when the DEP filing closed and when you filed
Yeah.
for the building permit.
So I think, so our contractor had initially prepared all the documents, and it was about 3.5 months after we had reached out to the building commissioner to file the application and was told that it would be denied. So we didn't proceed with filing the permit at that time. And then once we were told it was going to be denied, I think there was a little bit of lag time of determining if there is legal recourse, what we're gonna do about it, and then we were retained. We did our own legal research to see, you know, if a lot of things, like the COVID moratoriums and whether those applied to toll. So there were certain things that went into it to see if we could provide enough evidence, I guess, to the commissioner that, you know, the bylaws didn't apply or there was an exception in this instance. But it turned out that a variance was the best path forward.
Okay. And I didn't see any plans attached, but are
I
the,
can, yeah, we have them and I
Okay.
can attach them.
are there any issues with setbacks or any other dimensional requirements?
No, I don't believe so. Again, it's really within the existing footprint. Obviously, they're not using the existing foundation because everything
Yeah.
was filled in.
Yeah.
But that is the intent, just to do a very modest, no, you know, expanding or increasing the non-conforming nature. It's just putting that house back in the place where it was before we found the environmental hazard.
It is a pretty good sized lot.
Yeah, it said 50,000 square feet,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. No. I haven't had any issues with this.
Okay, someone make a motion to end this. It's, the other one first.
Maybe you should hear from the building commissioner and all the other boards.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty good idea.
I just,
Nice suggestion. All right, so, want to hear from the building commissioner / zoning enforcement officer?
Mr. Chairman, Kurt Meskis, building commissioner, zoning enforcement officer. If I may, I have the usual handouts.
Thank you.
And I have a few in case anyone in the audience needs them. Hi, Kurt Meskis.
How are you?
Have we been talking on the phone?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Vanessa. I've been conversing with Vanessa by email and everything, and as she's laid out the facts of the case here, I agree. And there was some time spent between the initial ask for a building permit and the actual filing for the building permit, as she indicated, to see if there were any legal reasons that would persuade me that I could issue a permit of right. As usual, the first page is the locus. These are all about 50-ish thousand square foot lots with about 175 feet of frontage. Page 2 shows a representation, it's an older representation of the house. I obtained that from the assessor's files. And then a picture of the hole after the house had been demolished with the permit that was requested. Currently, it's just sort of a grass vegetated lot that's been maintained by mowing. And as you can see, the houses on either side, both of them are modest houses. The one on the upper part, 78 Southridge Road, is an older house, and the one on the right is a small ranch at 66 Southridge Road. In the application materials was provided a plot plan, and as Vanessa indicated, this lot has 174.38 feet. And we require 175 feet of frontage. You know, can I wink and nod? I'm sorry, I can't. And then it has, as she said, about 50,507 square feet. It's a 60,000 square foot lot requirement. The question for Ray, was there a tolling period because of COVID, and that information was not brought forward? Is there extenuating tolling because there was an action by DEP? Nothing that, the applicant could bring forward to me that I could lay my hands on and say, oh yeah, okay, we have a reason, I have a reason to do something outside of our bylaws where we have a specific. So that's the issue, and as she did say, I just put some notes in here in case I needed to speak with the spill did come on August 29th of 2013. The government runs slowly, banks and whoever, Fannie Mae, yeah, there's a lot of bureaucracy there, so. That's the deal. I don't, the question would be maybe to discuss a little bit, is this a variance or is this a special permit? Because a variance is a dimensional, so are we trying to make this lot whole by giving the variance? And, usually variances refer to setback distances and those sort of things, not making frontage and area. Or is this a special permit to continue a pre-existing non-conformity that just sort of lapsed because it took so long?
If we granted a variance, given her the dimensional requirements because of the hardship, is the end result the same? First, she's not asking, the application doesn't have a special permit.
I didn't apply for one,
Yeah.
but is it the same result either way,
Yeah,
or
I mean, is it the same
better
result
to
either
have
way,
a
Kurt,
special
is the
permit?
question?
I think, okay, so that's why I asked the question, so we could, so the variance is not making the lot whole, right? Because I've seen boards do that in the past. We're going to give you a variance and we're going to make it have 100%. It still doesn't have 100%. So the variance would be from the lot size requirement.
Right.
I think so that probably needs to be reflected in whatever motion the board puts forth.
In the lot area requirement.
Right, if the variance is from the lot size and area requirements because of the hardship of the DEP's extended cleanup requirement.
Right.
That sounds good.
All right, is there anybody from the conservation has any comments? Town accountants, planning board, already heard from the building inspector, town clerk, selectman's office, assessor, collector, board of health, educational foundation, police, fire, any other board or commission have any comments? Anybody from the public, any abutters have any comments at all?
Yes.
Could you come up and state your name for the record, please? And your address, please.
My name is Joseph Goulart, 66 South Road. You're offering them a variance to build a bigger house than what was over there.
Okay.
Why does that require them to re-drill the well and redo the septic?
Well, if the well,
The well, it may impact my well again.
did it impact your well to begin with?
No, but if they did the people well, it will.
Well, no way to necessarily know that one way or the other. And that's not unfortunately a zoning issue, that's a Board of Health issue. I'm sorry about that.
And the conservation that we still have to deal with, Amazon.
Well, yeah, that's totally different as well.
Yeah, so we'll be
Yeah.
talking about that next, or later.
So you're just,
I was asked to come here, so the only thing I can think of is you're offering them a change to the bylaws or to the zoning to give them special permission to build a bigger house than what the lot size says. That's what you asked me to come here, so this is what I'm
we
doing.
didn't ask you, we gave you notice, you were welcome to come and go. Yeah, they're asking to build on the house because if they had built within the 2-year period.
Oh, I understand
They
what
could
happened.
rebuild whatever that is allowed under the bylaw, so.
So you're gonna change the bylaws to allow, that's
No,
fine.
we're not changing the bylaw, they're asking for.
A variance
relief-
for this particular
relief
house.
for this particular lot
Mhm.
to
No.
rebuild a house, yeah, yeah. Anybody else have any comments, questions? Okay, does someone want to just end our public portion of this discussion?
Motion to end the public portion?
Second?
The second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there any discussion on this? I think if someone's gonna make a motion on it, they need to take into consideration Kurt's thing, that to give relief from the frontage bylaw and the square footage bylaw in the motion. And the hardship would be that it took more than 2 years because of a hazardous material on the property in compliance with the removal of the hazardous material took more than 2 years. And they could not remove the hazardous material until the house was demolished. Is that what you'd say? What would you say?
Yeah, that's, no, I think you covered it.
I think that covers it.
That's what I would say. I make the motion. I can give it a shot. I might have a coffee fit in the middle of it. But, yeah, I'm ready to go forward if you are.
Yeah.
That's all good?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so a motion to grant the applicant a variance from the frontage requirement for 174 feet instead of 175, grant relief of 1 foot for frontage, and a total lot area of relief of 10,000 feet. So, for the purpose of reconstructing the demolished home.
It was like 11,000 something, wasn't it?
What's that?
Yeah, it's
About 11,000,
233.
Yeah, like the
Oh, I didn't
11,250
see the,
plus or minus, yeah.
That's the actual,
Yeah, but there, that's something there. 11,233 feet plus or minus.
Okay.
From the gross square footage.
So the really, as stated by the applicant in their application, 11,233 square feet. Due to the finding of the fact that due to the environmental remediation, the Mass DEP extended the 24-month rebuild period.
And that the remediation couldn't begin unless the property was, the structure was raised. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. So there's a 20-day appeal period.
Mhm.
They'll send it to you, just make sure you record the whole variance. Probably took you longer to drive here than to do all this tonight. Yeah. Drive safely back.
I will, I'm positive. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next, Donald Williamson, Narayan Noor, 38 Stevens Park Road. You say your name for the record?
Sure, I'm Donald Williamson.
Okay. You're at 38, you're the owner?
Yes. My wife was unable to attend.
Could you state for us what you're looking to do and why those boards should grant relief?
Sure. So, I was here or from the board a few years ago, and I was granted some variance and special permit to build a foundation just within the side setbacks. And I thought I would be simplifying the process by having a modular built.
Okay.
The modular ended up, really, I think I doubled my headaches. But anyway, there were issues between what was being done under the modular part of the construction
Yeah.
versus my general contractor's construction. And long story short is, on the front side facing the road,
Yeah,
we built a walkway to the access. It's a sloping property
yeah,
down to the front door. It's about 8 vertical feet from the parking down to the front door elevation.
Yeah.
And so a walkway was needed for safety. And again, just to keep that walkway from icing up over the winter, there was a roof, a hip roof built over that walkway.
Okay.
Front, and I brought some extra plans here in case we didn't have any, but basically, the plan shows I've got, on one side about 30 square feet into the setback, and on the other side about 24 square feet into the setback.
this is for the roof.
Right. And the roof is pretty much over the walkway. It's a 6-foot walkway, and the roof pitches down.
It's not enclosed, it's just,
It's not
it's
a,
on just, and there was no other changes to the construction that were outside our original grant of the variance?
no. I believe that at the time, it might have been a little more than a year ago when I had that.
So is it just the roof to the walkway, or is it the roof over the porch as well?
It's the roof over the walkway, over the porch, I guess you call it. The walkway down from the parking area is not covered.
So it's part of the porch and all of the walkway?
Okay, and maybe that is my misunderstanding, is where the walkway's included in that setback. But you're right, it was an addition to the design, not included under the original application.
Okay. You guys have any questions right now?
Curious, did you not intend to build a walkway before?
Well, there was always a walkway. I guess we knew there was a walkway, we never put it down on the plan. It hadn't yet been resolved at the time, like I said, involving a couple different contractors, and for purposes of setting the modular units, I needed a crane pad, so that area up at the top of the lot was flattened out, filled a little bit, and until it all got put together and was delivered, did we finally see the final elevations that we had to overcome to gain access to that front door. So I suppose we could have made
And-
assumptions.
There was no walkway there before?
There was no walk. Well, it was an old stone walkway just going down. It wasn't a constructed walkway. It was just landings
Yeah.
carved into the terrain.
Jason, you have any questions? I want to call the zoning enforcement officer / building inspector.
Mr. Chairman, Kurt Meskis, Building Commissioner, Zoning Enforcement Officer, if I may, have the usual handouts.
Yeah.
And a few for the audience if they're interested. So, this project started a number of years ago. In November 16th of 2021, we were before this board to get a special permit to remove and rebuild an existing structure. That special permit was granted based on a set of plans supplied, and there was a house proposed to go there. It didn't get constructed. A new plan was delivered for the house, altering the size and shape of the house, but not altering the footprint. As construction went on, we realized that there was a porch that was put on the house, and that was adding extra offense to the setback. So as we see, the locust plan showed the old house. We have a photo taken just a few weeks ago of the new front porch. We have another photo of the new front porch showing some of the grade elevation, and the photo, or the plan below shows what was submitted for the building permit application, and that porch is shown on the drawing would have fit within and not offended the setbacks. When we realized that there was additional offense to the setback, we issued a stop work order and advised the applicant that he was going to either have to cut the porch back or could appeal to the zoning board of appeals for additional relief.
So our original variance did not cover this porch at all.
The original variance covered the footprint as shown on the last
The
page.
last page. So that porch was not in that at all, so. So this plan that he shows me here, it looks like there's portions on the outside of the porch that's offending the setbacks on either side. And then he wants to put, there's no cover, there's no roof over that walkway right now, correct?
There is no roof over the walkway as shown in the photos, and the walkway as the posts are set up do not currently support or could support a roof. And the representation that the applicant has given you with the yellow highlights here is the offending areas.
Right. So if you were to put a roof on, you'd have to redo all those railings.
To put a roof over the walkway.
Yes.
Yes, or build an outside structure over that. I'm not looking to build a roof over the walkway as much as, say, the roof over the porch itself.
Are you just asking for the porch, or are you asking for both the porch and the walkway?
Well, if I need to ask, I guess, for the walkway, and again, apologies, I think it was probably my misunderstanding that the walkways and or the deck that's on the rear of the house, if that is part of the, is an outdoor, deck part of the offending the setbacks. I didn't think so.
So the offense right now is only the covered porch, the
In the
roof
front.
of the covered porch, and the porch. The stairway going to the building does not fall under the zoning setback.
But if you put a roof on the off the stairway, does that affect
Well,
the zoning?
then I would see what situation we were in at the time of the building permit was applied for that one. The rules may change by then, right? I do not have a building permit application in front of me at this time.
For the roof.
For the roof,
Over the-
I'm
Yeah,
not considering that.
There's no roof over the walkway.
right now, there's none.
Right, yeah, I think you had said that at the beginning,
Right.
that's part of the confusion. You don't intend to have a roof over the walkway?
No.
Okay, so then we're fine.
Yeah.
No. Okay. I will call, Conservation Commission. Anyone from the Conservation have any comments? Do you have a comment from the Conservation?
Yes, just a question regarding the roof. Is that on, or do you have a file of conservation right now for that work?
For the work on the site overall, I believe so. Rose
Yeah.
had been out there, I wanna say it was about 3 weeks ago, and her and I discussed the
The
wattle
roof?
and the silt fence.
Okay.
That type of thing.
Is the roof included on the plan that you have in conservation with us right now?
I doubt it.
Okay, that was my only question. Thank you.
Okay, anybody? Planning Board, Town Clerk, Selectman's Office, Assessor, Tax Collector, Board of Health, Economic Development, School System, Police, Fire, anybody, any boards or government have any comments or questions? Any abutters, members of the public? You wanna come up and state your name for the record?
So, my name is Sharon Gusalt, I live next door,
Okay, just the address for us.
32 Stevens Park.
Okay,
And I'm.
don't worry about it. Shoot away with the
So,
questions.
Okay, so my husband is the one who
Yes.
is dealing with all this,
Yep.
but he's not even here, so I have a list of things that
Yep,
are his concerns and our concerns. It's the property line. Our concern is that the grade is much higher than our grade, and without a retaining wall, which we do not want to see a retaining wall on our property line. We can't put a retaining wall within 15 feet of the property line, so he needs to redo his grades. How is it going to hold back the soil, the water runoff? Also spoke to people, I guess he came and spoke to people in 2022, my husband did, when
Yeah.
all this started
Yeah.
coming, and he did have a different plan than what.
What
he-
is actually
what he did,
built?
yeah. So he got approved to put one style house there, and now there's a much higher house there,
yeah,
which pretends, so we own the property across the street also.
yeah,
That eventually we're going to build our kids' houses there.
yeah,
So now that he has the bigger house there
Yeah.
than what was originally approved, that blocks our view of
Yeah.
the water. So it's like a water view.
right, yeah,
That, is an issue. We had to keep our retaining wall 15 feet from the property line. He got a variance for the house to be in the center of the lot, which he's okay with. But what they did was his pump chamber is 5 feet from our property line. And he wants to know how that was approved. It should have been either in the front or below. The house should not be in that 15-foot buffer, so that all that.
so, okay. Do you want me to answer one question at a time?
Yeah, should have
Okay.
stayed away from the
So in
property
terms
line.
of the grade on that, he's not asking for a retaining, he never asked us like for a retaining
I
wall.
think what his concern is that it's gonna run into our
Right,
property.
yeah, I
That's
understand that.
what
So you
that
may,
is.
you may wanna have your husband to talk to probably the Conservation
He
Commission.
has been.
Yeah, that's like, it's not really a zoning thing that we would deal with.
Okay.
In terms of the height of the house, like if the building code and the bylaw allows him to build a house that high, that's his right to do that. If you can't, you're not gonna impede possible future rights on his right now. He owns the land, he can do what he wants with that on the land if it's allowable. In terms of the.
Okay, so was that allowable then?
Yeah, it must, I mean, if the building, if they issued a building permit, then it was within whatever the
Even though
building.
he didn't build what was supposed to be on the building
Well, I would imagine that
permit?
whatever the permit is, there's a set of plans that was probably submitted.
And is the-
So it might,
is
the
it-
plans might have changed, but those plans would have been submitted to the town, and the town would have had to go over and prove it. So that wouldn't come to our board at all. In terms of pump chambers for like septic or whatever, that's Board of Health.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the ones that approve that.
And then there's also a deck on the back, and the staircase, should either be in the front or the rear. To approve buffer zone, which was approved December 22nd, that was within 10 feet of our property line. They put the decks on the front and the rear of the house without the approval.
Well, he's here for the front of the, he's here for the deck on the
Yeah.
front.
But
So-
we have concern about the stairs being within 10 feet of our property line. We have to put a deck on the back also.
Right, so I don't know whether or not, if our original variance in 2021 allowed him to do that, or he was in the buffer zone on that, or is the existing deck, I don't know the answer to that.
He said
It's
so.
not, so, he's not here for the deck in the back, and as far as I know, there hasn't been any kind of, like, opinion or whatever saying that he violates any of the rules for the deck or the stairs, so I can't answer that question, I don't know.
So is there a permit for the?
I would check with the building department to see what the permit says.
You did.
Yeah, if it's in the permit and they allowed it, then I would think that it's
Was
within
there a
that.
permit for it?
Yes,
There was
There-
no permit for the deck on the lake or for the shed that's on the lake.
Was the shed there though?
No.
the shed was there, it's been there for about, since it was one of the first things that went on the property.
Well, he put it there, but it wasn't there.
Yeah, I don't know, I can't answer any of that stuff. It's not part of our petition, there's no, like, determination that it violates anything, so I have no idea.
So
You'd have to talk to the building.
We can put whatever we want on the water then, more
I
or
would-
less.
I would talk
It's
to
just
the.
that when we built this, we redid our house 22 years ago.
Yeah.
It took us years to get permits and to put decking on and make sure we were within our boundaries.
Right. And I certainly understand that,
Yeah.
but I can't, like, your lot is different than his lot, what you wanted to do is different than he
Yeah.
was doing, like,
Well, no, I'm not saying that, we
Yeah.
just wanna make sure that it's within, it's not on top of our house, that's what it is.
Right, yeah. I mean, right now, all he's asking for is the edge of the front deck is outside the,
Yeah, we don't have any issues with the front deck.
yeah,
It's,
that's
you
all
know,
he's asking
that's-
for tonight. Like, I would talk to the Board of Health and the Conservation about the grading, runoff, and the pump. Like, I have no idea what the rules are with that.
Yeah.
It's way out of our,
Well, my husband has tried to contact them, but no one's gone back to him.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so did you have anything else that should be? So his concern is like the side stairs not being on anything for the decking, the
Yeah,
side stairs.
I would
going
have
down
him
for
talk to the
decking.
building department about
Building
that.
department?
Yeah, have him talk to the building department to make sure that it was either within the permit or if it
Yeah,
violates something, I
I guess
don't
the
know.
building department said it was not on his.
Yeah.
There's no permit for it. He talked to the building department.
Okay.
It's not approved.
All right, but it's
as of
not,
December.
it's not in front of us right now, so I'm not going to make a determination on that.
Okay, so we'll have
Alright.
to restart a
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah. You have to talk to the building inspector or his office about it,
Okay.
see what, if there's anything they are able to do or whatever.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. 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 Sorry.
Okay?
All right, so.
Sorry, I couldn't help you more on that.
No, it's not, I don't wanna, it's just,
Yeah. We're just looking at the front deck right now, that's it.
okay.
Okay?
Just wish we could take care of everything Actually, no, I'll let him come in and deal with it, because I don't, you know.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
I just know what we had to go through,
Yeah.
and, like, I would have loved to
And I couldn't
put
tell
stuff,
you,
like,
yeah,
5 feet from, you know, my neighbor's house, but I
Right.
didn't do that. I would have loved to put my things right on the water,
Yeah.
but I didn't do it. You know, I
Right,
followed
yeah.
the rules, and it's,
yeah,
like, you can't just drop stuff.
right.
Because I know water, rules are different than.
Yeah, that's out of our, yeah, purview, so.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Alright.
Anybody else have any comments or questions on this? All right, does someone want to end this public portion of this petition?
Make a motion to end the public portion of this discussion.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Jason seconds, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any discussion?
Everything okay with it?
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the house, no, but yeah. I mean, I don't.
So it's the roof and the deck in those yellow areas that's in effect into the zones.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
slightly into the zone. And is there a hardship on that? The shape of the lot?
Shape of the lots, not conforming.
Yeah.
slope.
Yeah, you know, the fact that it was kind of like this pizza-shaped lot with narrower at the street, a little wider down by the water. You know, as shown in that plan, the offsets are directly off those property lines, so it became an odd configuration. And, you know, in addition to just the fact that we need to access and do it safely, we're not getting any younger. Just, you
Yeah, I
know,
don't think access is the issue. What do you think, Eric?
Well, granted relief for the setbacks for to put the house there. Is it really an extenuating circumstance to add a 6-foot porch? I mean, it's the same finding of fact that you find put the house there outside the setbacks. as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, given the shape and the slope on the front, that would probably be a hardship right there, I mean, like,
If this had been part of it, back
We
in
would-
the original.
we would have probably granted it with no problem at all. It's not really crazy. What is it, 15-foot setback from the, it's there?
Yep. Yeah, he needs 15 feet, so he's
So
looking
he
for
needs-
4'7" from the east, 3'7" from the west.
All right, so wants to make a motion? No one wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the requested variance, seeking 4'7" relief on the porch from the east and 3'7" from the west,
According to the.
according to what is shown
To
to
the
this
plan, submitted plan.
submitted plan.
Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, your variance is granted, 20-day appeal period. After the 20 days is up, you need to bring it to the registry of deeds and report the entire variance. The entire approval. Good luck.
thank you.
All right. You ready? All right, next, 66 AF Putnam Road, Anita Alvarado. you just want to state your name for the record, please?
Gerald for Anita Alvarado.
I'm Norman Hill.
You are?
Civil engineer, and surveyor in Grafton, Mass.
Okay.
And Anita Alvarado.
Just state your name.
Yeah, well,
Okay. So would you like to tell us what's going on and why this board should grant relief? And I have 4 people here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll start off by going through the history because it's been a long history. This wall that we are seeking a variance for lies within the 5-foot setback requirement of your bylaw, which frankly, Norman, who sat on the planning board, is a very, very unusual bylaw and not found in many places within the Commonwealth. But in any event, be that as it may, we are here. Essentially, what happened here, this wall was started construction in 2021. It was completed basically in the spring of 2022. And at the time that it was fully constructed, basically fully constructed, Anita received a telephone call from someone who apparently owned a right-of-way adjacent to her property and which was unknown to her. I'll show you, handout for everybody, the course of what ended up happening, this right-of-way. Essentially, if you look at the first plan, it shows basically her lot, which is lot 2, and a section between that, her lot, and a 20-foot right-of-way before the lot next door to her was developed. And that was back in 2000 and, I'm looking for the date on it, no, 1990. That was the establishment of the initial right-of-way. Subsequent to that, lot was constructed and planned, and the right-of-way existed on the lot which is adjacent to hers, and that's the second plan that I've shown you. And it was discovered at some point that the owner of that lot had placed a well and a pool and a shed on the right-of-way. So apparently, the owner of the right-of-way came to the owner of the piece next door to us, and said, you're blocking my right-of-way. And they came to an agreement in 2016 to move the right-of-way. And if you look at that plan, it shows the moving of the right-of-way exactly next to our property, Anita's property on A.F. Putnam Road. And so that brings us to the next plan, which was on 3/23/22. Essentially what happened, Anita got a phone call from the owner of the right-of-way, and the owner of the right-of-way said, you're obstructing my right-of-way. And unbeknownst to her, there was a small encroachment, which is shown on the plan as a 2.4-foot encroachment. Immediately, she receives a letter from a lawyer saying, you're obstructing my right-of-way with your wall, which is now basically obstructed. She calls me and tells me that there's some kind of mistake here, that this can't be true. So I pull out the plans and I show her. I said, there's a right-of-way right next to your property, and if that wall is on that right-of-way, it's an obstruction. So we got it surveyed, found that there was an obstruction. Immediately, she called the wall builder. You've got to move that off his right-of-way. She moves it off the right-of-way back onto her own property, and the final plan shows that that's been done. So basically, that ended that discussion at that time as to the obstruction of the right of way. But right after we had done that, we got a notice from the building inspector that you're in violation of the 5-foot setback. And this is, again, the first we've heard of that. So we immediately came and tried to challenge it with your board. We were here in June of 2022. You didn't have the proper, I guess, number. We were here in July 2022. Again, not the proper number. Put off to August. Again, we're here. Again, not the proper quorum. Mr. Chairman said to me, do you want to put it off again? We said no. We had been here 3 nights in the summer, hot summer nights, and we said no. We're entitled to, under the law, we are entitled after that 100-day period to have our approval. And we took it. We filed the proper paperwork, and it was approved. Then the town decided, no, I guess we're gonna wanna fight it. So we've been in land court now since 2022. And we've had the judge out here, and we finally came to an agreement, and basically a suggestion of the judge, go back and see if you can get a variance. So that's why we're here. We're here because of that reason. And I've got photographs here, other photographs to show you. I don't know if you've been out there, seen the wall. It's been up now for 3 years. But it's a beautiful wall. It is I think it's an enhancement of the neighborhood. It certainly doesn't derogate from the property of the neighbor. And I think it's in conjunction with all the other stone walls that you have in this community. And we've gone to great expense. As you see the wall, it was a very, very expensive wall. And to have to tear it down is another very, very expensive proposition. Anita is a single mother. She has a 16-year-old daughter who's in high school. She has a 20-year-old son attending Nichols College. She at times works 3 jobs just to keep all of this going. And with their savings, whatever, she was able to build that wall.
Let me ask you, Jerry, how tall is the wall?
It's basically 4 feet.
4 feet off?
A little bit under. But at the time that we were dealing with the courts and the system, you had your engineer, we hired Norman. Norman said to us, it is basically a retaining wall.
So was before the wall was built, was the grade higher on your client's lot than the adjacent lot? Has it always been that way? Was there another retaining wall there before? Well, how was
There was a fence. And I've got some pictures of it here, but there was this old, raggedy fence, and that was the only thing that was there. And,
Okay.
in the course of building the wall, we have seeded the neighbor's lawn a couple of times.
So I'm Norman Hill, I live in Grafton, Mass.
Yeah.
I'm a licensed civil engineer.
Just give one card to David.
I'm a licensed civil engineer, I'm a licensed land surveyor, president of land planning. I've been in this line of work for over 40 years. So I'd like to show you a picture.
Do you have a picture for all of us?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm standing near the back of the driveway, looking towards the road. Next slide, please. And this shows you where her driveway is. So you're standing at the back of her lot, looking towards the street. So I'm back almost 300 feet back on the lot. So the neighbor's property is to the right of that drawing, on the other side of that fence.
Okay.
And the wall is on the other side of that fence. So the face of the wall is about half a foot past that fence. Now I have, like to show you a drawing, a photograph. This is taken from the street, looking from the street towards the back of the property, the opposite view. But this is showing the wall side of the fence. And so Anita has done some landscaping, the first 50 feet or so, she's done some landscaping because the wall is 2 or 3, 4 feet back from the property line. But then the wall, you'll notice that the wall doesn't exist for the first 50 feet. But then the wall, it's like 1 inch tall, then a foot tall, then 2 feet tall, 3 feet tall, it gets up to 3 feet.
This is the petitioner's property right here?
No, she's on the other, she's to
She's
the
on the
right.
other side of this
She's to the
fence.
right, this is the neighbor's property.
Whose fence is this?
Mine.
That's your fence. So, if you notice, you'll see the wall, and
Oh.
the fence is to the right of the wall.
This is the petitioner's fence right here?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And then this is the petitioner's fence in this picture as well?
yes.
And this is the neighbor's property right here?
No, this is the petitioner's property here.
Okay.
So, you can see she keeps her place very nice. I wish she lived next door to me. So I have another photograph for you, again showing the neighbor's property. This one is taken out back, looking back towards the street, but it shows you the relationship of this wall to the neighbor's house. That's the neighbor's house, that's the neighbor's yard. That's my client's wall, my client's fence. So my client is to the left on this drawing. So my client's over there, but this is the neighbor's. So that shows the tallest part of the wall. That wall's not just under 4 feet, it's like 3 feet 10 inches tall. So I met with a contractor there one day, and I had him dig a hole for me between the fence and the driveway. And I can see the good gravel that's under the driveway, good solid gravel. And I can see this wall is held together with concrete. So he puts down 2 rows of stone, fills it with concrete. The nice face of the wall is facing the neighbor. 2 more stones, fills it with concrete. 2 more rows of stones, fills it with concrete. So this wall is held together with concrete. So I've done a structural analysis, and I prepared a letter that certifies that this wall is not only strong enough to hold up itself, but strong enough to hold up that driveway and any load that hits that driveway. So I prepared this letter, and I certified this letter. So that wall's not going anywhere if due to gravity or a vehicle, or that wall is built to stay. I've been told that this contractor's built many walls in town, many beautiful walls, and it's still standing without any problem. Lastly, I'd like to point out that this lot is only about 90 feet wide at the street. It's about 80 feet wide at the house. Near the back of the driveway, it's only about 70 feet wide. So it's a long, narrow, it's almost 700 feet long, but it's a long, narrow lot. So I believe the hardship for her is caused by the shape of this lot being long and narrow, and it's on the side of a hill. So, and she couldn't put a driveway uphill from her house, because it goes uphill, pretty steep uphill from her house. The driveway had to go below the house. And if she had to move this wall in 5 to 6 feet, the driveway's gonna go from like 14 down to about 9. So it's just not gonna have an adequate driveway.
And to add to what Norman said, with our agreement with the court, if you grant the variance, we have to submit an after-the-fact building permit application for the retaining wall to the building commissioner, along with the engineer's as-built plan. So there's other things that we will have to do, subject to your.
So the wall is on the line, right?
On parts of it on.
If the wall needed to be repaired, you'd be on the neighbor's property to repair it.
We would be on the easement, and I suspect that if it had to be repaired, the owner of the easement would give us permission, because he does not want us apparently blocking that, so we would have to get permission.
Okay.
And that's basically how this all started. And to think that we have a piece of property, that somebody has a potential road next to us, you know what's gonna happen if we're not right on that line. Anybody driving along that line, it's our 5 feet. So it's for protection, in addition to being a beautiful boundary.
Eric, you have questions? Marco, Jason, you have questions?
What's the width of the wall?
I'm sorry?
What's the width of the
So
wall?
at the top, it's 2 to 2.5 feet wide, and at the bottom, it's from 3 to 4 feet wide. So it's straight up and down on the property line, but on the driveway side, it's sloped like this, so any pressures is keeping the wall from going over.
Was the wall and the driveway done at the same time?
No, the driveway was done first, I believe, and then the wall. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, it wasn't paved till the end. The driveway, the dirt driveway was done first.
There was a dirt driveway before the wall was built?
We have a picture that will show you that.
And the fence that was there.
You just have one of these?
We can pass it around.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. You guys have any other questions right now?
Nothing else.
Jason, Marco, you want to call the building inspector, zoning enforcement officer? Mr. Meskis?
Good evening, group. Kurt Meskis, Building Commissioner, Zoning Enforcement Officer. Copies of all of my notice. I gave three. You wanted it? Yeah, you got one, but you got three.
Lot, huh?
So as Mr. Shagru indicated, this has been a long-standing case that this board heard and was unable to.
I don't think that we heard anything, because they never had the quorum.
Yeah, you're correct, sir. So you did have a quorum, because your board is 5, so your quorum is 3, but for an action to overturn the zoning enforcement
Yeah.
officer, it needs a 4/5.
Well, we never had 4 for any of these.
So, and what happened was, is because there was not, because Mr. Shagru applied for a constructive approval after the 100 days, we went to our counsel, who advised us that, that you could have taken an action. It would have been a 3/5 vote, and the opinion of the zoning enforcement officer at that time would not have been overturned. So as Mr. Shagru indicated, we have been working through the court system to come to an agreement on this. There is stipulations attached to the package that Mr. Shagru alluded to. I checked with our counsel today. The judge had not signed them yet, is on vacation, but both counsels have signed the agreement that Mr. Shagru mentioned, which what has put us before the board again. So they have stipulated that it is a retaining wall, and that according to our bylaws, the retaining wall needs to be 5 feet from the property line. And the engineer, Mr. Hill, has provided one part of the requirement of the stipulation, which was this letter that he presented to us, that the wall would be sufficient to structurally retain both the fill behind it and the surcharge of the motor vehicle traffic above. And so I present my normal case here. Here is the locust map, a very few pictures. We're looking from the street. Ms. Alvarito's property, 66, is to the right. 2 Dennis Wilbur Drive is to the left. This issue started with a complaint from 2 Dennis Wilbur Drive saying that the retaining wall was too close to the property line. The survey that the Alvarados had showed that, and an enforcement action was brought forward. I agree, it's a very nicely constructed wall. It's just that the technical nature of the issue is that unfortunately, in my business, I run into what we refer to sometimes as compound ignorance, and not being derogatory about that, but people don't know what they don't know. That this is a retaining wall and it requires a building permit, and if it had been applied for, then the 5-foot setback would have been noted to the applicant at that time. So, I believe the applicant has provided, and I provide again, a blow-up of the plot plan showing the retaining wall extending very closely along the property line, and then the full plan from HS&T Group with that blow-up came from. So it is in the board's hands whether or not the board grants a variance. If they do grant the variance, then the applicant will follow through on the rest of the conditions of the agreement for judgment and file the building permit and the as-built of the wall. Then the court will close the case. Did I do all right, Jerry? That's fair. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for the building enforcement officer? No? All right, so we have anybody from conservation, planning board, town accountant, town clerk, selectman's office, assessor, collector, board of health, economic development, police, fire, any educational board, anybody else from any government board or agency have any comments or questions? All right, any butters have any comments or questions? If you want to come up one at a time, state your name for the record and your address.
My name is Pat Wilson, and I'm the abutter
Okay.
to Dennis Wilbur Drive.
Okay. So, questions, concerns?
First of all, very, very much of what they said was untrue.
Okay,
I can't remember everything they said, and I have things I didn't bring because I didn't know I need to. I got a letter saying there was a meeting, so I came.
okay,
The wall is beautiful, the fence is beautiful, I'm not saying anything about that.
okay,
The pool was there when I moved in.
Yeah.
So whatever, right away,
Yeah, there's nothing
I
we can
didn't
do
do
about
that,
it.
it had
Yeah.
nothing to do with me.
right.
Um,
So we're just talking about the wall.
the right of way
Yeah,
is on the property, but it's my property,
right,
so it's on my property.
yes,
So, we were going together back and forth about this and about that, and then she left my side. I said, you can do this as long as you leave my side. Nice.
Yeah.
The way it was.
right,
Weeds, whatever, but I mowed it, I kept
Yeah.
it clean, whatever. She left it like an abandoned construction site.
okay,
The ruts of the tractors, the roots sticking up out of the ground, all of which I have pictures,
yeah,
and then started giving me a hard time.
okay,
And she said, well, no big deal, because you didn't have anything over there anyways. So, and it went on and on and on. In the meantime, one of the July 4th, I can't remember what the year, but she called me and said something, now she had no permit in the beginning anyway.
right, right,
So she said, well, if we move the wall back, would that be okay with you? And I said, well, yeah, thinking we'd get permits and see what's what.
right,
Immediately, the day after the 4th of July, she had those stone people there, tearing down the wall and moving it back, a few inches, I don't know. The
Right.
stake was there,
yeah,
and then it went back. But before that even, when she did, all was said and done, is when she had it surveyed, not before. And there's this big fluorescent pink piece of yarn going right over the wall, and there's a lot of that wall in my yard.
but they moved the wall, it's not in your yard any longer,
I don't know. I don't know, it hasn't been resurveyed. She
okay,
didn't have a permit to do that the second time either. And
Yeah.
at one point, when they were doing that, I called Mr. Meskis, and he came over. And
Yeah.
that 4-foot retaining wall is also 4 feet underground. If she had to tear it down, her driveway would fall into my backyard.
Possible.
So it's not a 4-foot beautification wall,
Well, it's 4 feet above ground.
4 feet above ground.
Yeah,
He even said that to her,
yeah.
because he came over and told her, you know, they still have to tear that down, I don't know why you're doing that. So,
Did she fix, it looks like though that they took care of landscaping that side, that's your property. They grew grass there and all that.
They did.
They did take care of that.
they, yeah.
So let me ask you, the wall as it is now, do you have a problem with that?
I have a problem with it if any of it is on my property, because down the line, come to sell it, what do I say? Oh, well, this is,
So if we granted a variance, that doesn't necessarily change, like our variance doesn't okay encroachment onto the property. So if the wall is still technically, if there's a survey done and it's on your property, if we granted a variance, that wouldn't change the fact that it's not supposed to be on your property. That I can't, granting a variance isn't gonna change that one way or the other.
I don't know really what all that even means.
So if we say okay to the wall tonight, all right, and you did a survey, you know, next year, 5 years from now, and you found that part of that wall is on your property, the fact, if we grant relief to the petitioner tonight and say the wall's okay to stay, and you find out it's your property, this doesn't say that it's okay for the wall to stay on your property. That's not what this is about.
It sounds like the court's saying they have to do the survey anyway.
Yeah, well, they have to do an as-built, that's not a survey, I think. They just have to do an as-built, right?
Well, we have a survey on file that I presented in my application, is in the application, or in the package that, I hate it when my name thing goes, the neighbor has, okay? And as been reported, the wall was, as it was constructed, was found to be in trespass. That issue was corrected.
Okay.
And a new survey that I have stamped by a registered land surveyor
Says that it's
is
in,
showing that
it's all on
it
her property.
runs, in some cases, just on the property line, in
Yeah.
some cases, several feet from the property line, in some cases, a couple inches from the property line.
So,
So the issue,
I could sit here and say, you know, oh, I'm a single mother and I'm raising 3
Yeah,
kids.
yeah,
I'm a widow.
Yeah.
And she did all this after my husband passed.
Yeah.
And I had to deal with all of this myself. And, you know, I
So-
was nice to her up to a point. I had
Yeah.
no problems with anything. I'm not disputing the beauty of it, anything.
okay,
But she abused the whole situation. She knows what she did.
okay,
She didn't have permits twice.
yeah.
And how is that okay?
Well, it's not, that's why
I
we're
mean, I
here,
put
and
a
that's why they
little
were
4-foot
support.
addition on my deck, a little, because I was doing the floorboards
Yeah.
over, and I had to stop construction for 3 weeks,
Right.
because I had to do this and do that,
Yeah.
which I just didn't know.
Right.
I thought I was just doing addition, and-
Yeah,
which I got everything I needed, but it's,
and that's why I think that they went to court, and that's why we're here, is because,
well, I've never heard
Yeah.
anything about anything.
yeah. So this.
And I'm the one who called him in the first
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, so,
No one's
this,
ever been
this
in
did go
contact
to the,
with me.
this did go to land court, the town, and the petitioner have been going back and forth in court over the past couple of years. And this is what the judge said, to, you know, to ask for a variance and some other things that the judge had them do, so it
And
wasn't.
so the rest, what, just gets a little slap on the hand and that's it? Because the next time I wanna do something, I won't get a permit either.
Well,
You
that's.
let- you let her do it?
Yeah, I'm not the permitting authority on that, so you would have to
Just
talk to the building inspector on that, okay?
Mhm.
In, you know, in some way, they are asking forgiveness rather than permission. I do agree with you on that. So, what she's asked,
That's my say, that's all
Yeah,
I'm gonna say.
so what she's asking for is-
I have pictures, I have emails back and forth,
Yeah.
I have everything.
yeah,
But she's gonna get what she wants anyways, she has right on through. And she's a poor, I know, she's built.
yeah, so I
Never mind. But
understand.
anyways,
Yeah,
I've had my say, that's what I'm
Okay.
gonna say. She's gonna get what she wants anyway, shows us.
okay, ma'am, thank you.
Yeah, you will.
All right, next,
Olaf Olson, 68 at Putnam, 2 houses up from Anita.
okay,
I would just like to say that everybody, you know, this woman has to admit the aesthetic value of the work.
It does look like a nice wall from the picture.
Nothing she's done with that property is, right, to
Right.
really enhance the value of everybody that lives around her.
Yes,
You know, she's done a great job.
yeah.
I guess I'm a little confused in that, the last hearing where the board wasn't able to, you have a quorum and
Yeah,
a
to make it-
100-day
Yeah,
period passed, so she was granted, you know, petition.
right.
How is it that the town gets to have another bite at that apple? Which is,
So,
it sounds
so,
like that's what's
so the
happening.
town made the determination that the 100 days had passed. They decided to bring an action to land court, saying that they weren't gonna allow, that they were disputing that 100-day period, and it's been in court for the past 2 years. The petitioner and the town have been, you know, litigating this out for the past couple of years on whether or not this was gonna, the 100-day period had passed and it was gonna be acceptable. And so the judges, through agreement, they sent it back and said to the petitioner, you need to get, these are the things by agreement with the town that you need to do if you wanna keep the wall there and do that. So this is one part of that, is my understanding.
Okay, so then that 100-day rule, exactly how does that work? If the board,
That's not up,
Has it?
that's not up to, in all honesty, we were a defendant.
no, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, I know, yeah,
clear
yeah.
that to
The
be able to
the
understand.
town's actually sued the zoning board of appeals and the petitioner, so, we were the defendant as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they litigated it through, and that's what the judge kind of came out with, that to do it that
Okay.
way.
And
I don't wanna like
Right.
take it off, but what we have in front of us is that this wall is supposed to be 5 feet from the property line, and it's
Right.
not. So the main thing for us tonight is, are we gonna grant relief to say, yeah, it's okay to stay there, or it needs to be moved within the 5 feet, and we have to kind of determine whether or not we're gonna do that or not. So, are you okay with the wall the way it is? Is it a butter? Do you have any issue?
Well, I don't have it because, you know.
You're not-
I live on
Yeah.
the opposite side.
It is a nice fence.
No, I have no problem with it.
Okay.
And one other clarification, if we could,
Yeah.
it was mentioned early on about there was a right of way on the abutters
Yes.
property.
Yeah.
That they decided they moved it.
Yeah, that's
and-
their right.
And to move the right of way.
Yeah.
But didn't they move it closer to?
They moved it closer to the
petitioner's
property line.
Property
Yep.
line?
And that's certainly acceptable. I mean, the petitioner has no control over that, it's not on her property. And the party that had the right of way and the landowner made that agreement, and that's certainly within their right to do that.
Oh, I don't have a problem with them.
Yeah.
Moving the right way.
Yeah.
But it seems like if you're gonna end up with the right of way closer to an existing piece of property,
Yeah,
then don't complain because now that other piece of property is too close to your right of way.
right, yeah.
I mean, that issue wouldn't have come up if they hadn't moved the right of way.
Probably not.
You know, and that's,
I just think
you know, I was just trying to get some clarification
Yeah,
on that.
yeah.
It just sounded a little
Yeah,
questionable.
right. It's not, I mean, if the wall is encroaching on the right of way, then that landowner and the person that held the right, you know, certainly would have some sort of action with the encroachment of the wall, but it looks like that part is correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, who's next? Come on up.
Just a quick comment. Steve Natale, 62A Pleasant Road.
Yeah,
I just wanted to say that, as an abutter,
yeah,
we're fine with the looks, the aesthetics, everything like
Yeah.
that. So if
You're
this
okay with
helps,
yeah.
then we're good with it.
Okay, thank you. Next?
Lori Natale,
Yeah,
62A Putnam Road.
Yep.
So, I live on the other side of it.
okay,
She has done so much work on this property. You know, getting divorced, becoming a single parent,
yeah,
putting all her money into this property.
Right.
It looks amazing.
right,
We don't have an issue with it. The time and money she spent on it, to have to deal with someone who is unbelievable, just awful to her. Like like he said, if that right of way wasn't moved,
Yeah.
she did everything she could when she was told, okay, maybe we need to move it back. Let's do that, we'll do that the next day.
Right, right.
She has done everything to
Well-
try to make it what she could.
We understand that, but
Right.
obviously, like, in some way, like I said, she's asking forgiveness when they,
Well,
sent permission.
but then also,
Yeah.
if that wasn't an issue, moving that, it would have caused more issues. So moving that was an issue. Then I've seen the other side of the property, the
Yeah,
other
it doesn't,
pictures.
yeah.
It's not pretty to look at.
Well, that's
So
not, that's not,
that-
I beg your
but I'm
pardon.
just-
Yeah,
Yep,
that's-
sorry, truth hurts.
Because I don't have
That-
grass? I'm
Listen,
sorry.
no.
no, and.
I,
both
What's
reasons-
wrong with the
she's
no,
already had her
rest of it?
time.
Yeah, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry,
Ma'am,
I'm sorry.
Ma'am, right,
I get
that's
that.
not part of the issue.
No, I know,
with this.
I'm just saying,
Okay.
being on both sides, I see both.
Yeah.
She's put a lot of time and money into that.
I
She's
understand
done
that.
a great job. We don't have a problem with it.
Okay,
And I just hope you guys can waive the variance for her.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, who's next?
Eric Borgeson, 18 Monitor Road. Just looking for some clarification and just some transparency on why so much resources is being placed into this. It seems like a 4-foot wall. We've come 1, 2, 3, 4 times. She's not on the property. You've got some neighbors that are upset. But what is this right of way and why is it causing so much?
So the right-of-way is on the
tension?
adjacent property. My understanding was when the wall was initially built, it encroached on, not only onto the landowner, but into that right-of-way.
Sure.
So the person that has the right-of-way certainly had a problem with that the wall being within that 10 or 20 feet right-of-way, that it impeded their potential access to the
Right, and
property.
we heard that the person
the
that
wall
had
was-
this right away
Yeah.
had a pool and a well, and said, oh, let's just move it over a little bit. But
Right,
now that
that's-
there's a wall, like, it just seems that
But the
there's
wall was
something-
corrected, to my understanding, that it does not, no longer encroaches upon the right of way. So the only issue now is, before us, is that under the town bylaw, the zoning bylaw, it says that if you're gonna build a wall like this, it needs to be 5 feet from the property, from the edge of the property line.
Sure.
This is on the property line. So they're asking for that 5-foot relief on that. The other part, why the town spent so much resources on a,
We sued ourselves.
I understand.
And got
that.
lawyers and went to
Yeah,
court.
Yeah,
100 grand, I mean, do we know
I
what
I
the
have no
dollar figure
idea.
is on this
Yeah,
poor little, I bet you it costs more than the wall, I just,
I don't
you
know.
know,
Yeah.
I pay taxes, like, it's a lot.
Sort of, all of us on the board do as well. Yeah, yeah. So
Well, I encourage you to put an end to it tonight.
Well, it's possible, it will be up to the board to decide.
Great,
Yeah.
appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anybody else next? Anybody else have any comments? Nobody else? Okay,
I make a motion to end the public portion.
okay, there's a, Marco makes a motion, there's a second. Jason seconds, all in favor say aye, aye, okay. Discussion on this?
There's no encroachment, they're looking for 5 feet of relief from the wall.
Yeah.
I don't see any problem with the request that comes.
You know, my only thing, and the wall's already there, so it's not like, and their council, yeah, I did bring it up a little bit to their council, is that at some point, you know, it may be far in the future from what it sounds like how the wall is built, that if it needs to be repaired or replaced or whatever, they're probably gonna have a problem with that relief, because they would need permission from the landowner next door to get access to that, so that it would potentially become a problem. But other than that, I mean,
Just the landowner or whoever owns the right of way?
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, but it's on the, like, you know, that's part of the reason why, you know, we don't wanna see that stuff, is cause how do you need, you know, you put a shed right on the property line or whatever, and then you need to go paint the shed, you have to get the next door neighbor to okay it, you know, then this would be that instance. The wall's already there, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you allow boundary walls to be right on a lot line. It's got a fence on it, fences
Yeah.
are on lot lines as
Yeah.
well, so. It's a similar situation, and it's sort of the petitioner's issue.
Yeah,
If
it is.
they can't get access from the neighbor's property, then they have to go from their side out to-
Right.
to fix it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a gamble they're gonna have to take. But, yeah, I agree with Marco. I mean, it is a retaining wall, but essentially it's a boundary wall now, so.
Yeah.
I mean, having it be close to the lot line is okay.
All right, so if there's gonna be a hardship on the variance, do you wanna say the shape? Because it is an odd, I mean, even for that neighborhood, it's kind of a unique shape.
I'm gonna say it's the unique shape of the lot in proximity to the existing structure of the home.
And the
In reference to the driveway.
If someone wants to make a motion, we'll vote on it.
I'll make a motion to approve the requested variance seeking relief of 5 feet for this wall, listing the hardships as the shape of the lot and how it conforms to the proximity of the existing structure for driveway access.
And that, the wall is according to the plan that was submitted to us.
According to the plan that was submitted to us.
Okay. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 20-day appeal period, Counselor. After that, record the entire variance. I'm sure the judge will want to talk to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
So one last one, 197 Sunset Drive.
Like 3 days? No problem.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Jerry, have a good week, have a nice Thanksgiving. Nice to see you. Have a nice Thanksgiving, thank you.
David Hall. I had a topo and a resurvey of my land, and I tried to address a couple of the questions that were asking. We went to the full 5 feet on the side, instead of asking for 2.5. Went back a little bit, and I could, Frank, you were in, one of you drove the street and said there was nobody else as close as I was to the street asking.
Yes.
My surveyor, when he came out, he looked at 235, I don't have a bunch of copies of it, but 235 Sunset, it's got a garage,
Yeah,
it's 9 feet
okay.
from the road.
Yeah.
The real road is probably back, he says it's probably less than that, but I'm not worried about that, I'm just trying to address needs tonight.
Yeah.
That's 235 Sunset?
We need one of
Oh,
those
sure.
to file.
Whichever one you need is clear. This was. Is that good enough, Mike?
Yep. Anything that,
If you want to
anything
get a
that
copy.
gets
So
presented to
you
the board, we
wanna,
have to have a
are
copy.
you an engineer?
I'm a contractor, I'm
He's gonna
You, you wanna state your name for the record?
Harry Avery, I live in Foxborough,
And
Massachusetts.
what's the name of your company?
Avery Investment Properties.
Okay. All right, so
the idea before Frank was, I didn't wanna erupt the walkway that I had. I wanted to try to get it in there and then not disturb the land as much, but obviously I didn't have enough room to do that. With the fire code, I think they talked about,
I had the original package. So you're gonna remove that entire driveway area?
it's gonna be redone, you know, yeah, it's gonna be pushed back. Cause one of you gentlemen addressed it, wanted to have enough room to be able to park a car outside the garage. And,
That wouldn't really give you a lot of room to park a car outside of the garage door where you have it now.
well, side bay, but I just park, it's more or less a one car garage actually, it's 20 feet, but you can't really get two cars. I just want to snow blower and get a car away from the giant oaks that I have that seems to destroy everything that parks under it. The standard dimensions of the one car.
Space.
You guys have more questions for this gentleman?
So it looks like we're now looking for 25 feet from relief on the front and 10 feet on the side.
What we were originally looking at. It's the same on the front, they haven't moved it back at all. They moved it over 5 feet.
Can I see that packet?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
When my survey completed,
It just is the original
he
plan.
compared it to, what he said, 235 and I asked him to come to me pretty bigger.
Yeah, so just pushed over 3 feet. looks like.
Yeah, that's all you did. Why would you not put it closer to the center of the lot? Why over to the side? And the slope doesn't look like it changes any different.
I think the main set of stairs going down to the house. is
Okay.
kinda-
But you're gonna encroach into that anyways by
Yeah.
moving it 5
Okay,
feet.
I can move
Like,
the-
why just move it 3 feet over instead of putting it more into the center of the lot
Right.
and just do, whatever?
You can do a side, stairs on the side of the garage and rent.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, the top. well,
Yeah, like, I don't understand, like,
This is
so,
what the surveyor suggested, because the topography is so steep. He said, this is where you wanna have it. It'd be a lot more, disruptive to the land, and I didn't wanna block anybody else's view from the water. It was,
yeah, I'm not, yeah, you know what, if that's not like a total, really a big consideration for me, like, this is your lot. Hey, if we're gonna grant a relief for it or whatever, and they have a problem with the view, then, why are they not here?
Right.
And it only carries so much weight, at least in my opinion.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Mr. Holt talked to all his neighbors, they pretty much don't have an issue with what he wanted to do. Last time he was here,
I guess it was like 2.5 feet for the setbacks, you recommended to go 5 feet.
At least, yeah.
To survey,
Yeah.
survey the property and.
I mean, it's not, I mean, it is 3 feet over, which is better, but it's still not.
Yeah, I mean, all the lots, this lake or any other, they're all kind of condensed and you
Right,
try to
right.
squeeze as much as you could possibly do on any project.
Right.
And then I got the well in the sewer there also.
Where is the well?
It's up there,
You're it's a water.
Water line.
on the top, it's like in the street.
Oh, that's the
In
water.
the sewer. Yeah, they're both on, see, they weren't really recorded last time, that's why, this is why he put it there. Look at
That-
the line comes, the water line for my well comes under the stairs.
Yeah. So you,
He was just trying not to disrupt my whole property, and that was the most, is feasible the right word I'm looking for, to put it there.
So, my question is the 5 foot,
You're relocating both of those lines in this new plan anyways, though.
yeah, it's because of the, it's because of.
it's
because
the
he's-
proposed shift, because of
because
the
he's moving
shift
it,
of
that's why.
the building, that's why.
So because he's gonna get so close to that water line to dig it out and do the foundation, or maybe he needs the clearance, I don't know. And then the reason that he's moving the sewer line is because he's moving the water.
Yeah, 'cause they have to be like 10 feet apart, I believe, so.
Yeah, here's the 10 foot.
Yeah.
My question is the 5 foot setback to the edge of the garage, is that to the wall structure or the overhang of the roof?
So wall structure.
The wall structure.
Where would you relocate the shed?
I'd probably knock it down. I mean, I have a temporary shed up top. I'm not looking to, I'm just looking to redo that walkway, build that little structure there, and I'll probably just make it a shed. It's an older shed, it's been there for a long time, I mean, it's still usable, but it's,
Yeah, you
So
wouldn't
the
need it.
entire retaining wall around the driveway, that's all gonna get demolished? You have a pretty steep retaining wall around that driveway, right?
right.
That's all gonna get going, you're gonna regrade the whole,
Yeah, you almost have to kind of double stack the back wall because the grade is steep on it, so. But yeah, with that existing retaining wall will be removed and a foundation will be poured for the garage.
So how tall is that back wall of that garage?
Probably 12 feet, I would say, somewhere along
so you're gonna have like an entire level underneath potentially.
there. Correct, yeah, I think
Huge
that's
store.
the whole idea, to have the additional storage underneath the garage and have the garage on top.
It's not a living space, just maybe a crawl space where I could.
Oh, it's no crawl space.
No, because I'm an old wire person, so that's what they call it.
Unless you got like Kristaps living in your house, 12 feet is not really a crawl space.
Yeah, I mean, we've done before over the years, I've been under a contract for 40 years, I was a building inspector in Worcester, I was building commissioner in town Lancaster, I've been doing this all my life. The double stack sometimes, even the houses I build, it's all engineered, so it's all, put rebar in it and additional strengthening measures, but with the grade of his property, because if you've been there, his is the street, it's the water, so it's a very difficult spot to build on, so the only way to do it is to double stack the backside of the foundation.
Kurt, have you seen the revised plans before this evening?
No, I have not. I just received them this evening. So I will comment that the approximate height of the rear retaining, or the rear wall of the garage is going to be 10 feet. The topos show grade 810 running through the shed, and they're 2-foot contours. So it's 10 feet tall to the grade of the street. I would suggest that since the water and sewer line are being moved, any additional space that the board might provide between the property line would be a good idea, and that in the design of the building, the applicant may want to consider concrete plank floor because he's going to either have to whack and stack a lot of dirt to fill up that foundation, or
He wants the crawl space, so
I'd have a full height, I'd put a full height basement under it.
yeah.
I think that's the idea of it.
Yeah.
The plans that we got today, I think he just picked them up in our books, I haven't really seen them Right, these myself. weren't done with this afternoon from the survey.
And then to address the issue, the building code, as we talked about last time, anything less than 5 feet, so 4'11".
Right.
That was that firewall you were talking about.
Right,
Clear
it
for that.
requires fireproof construction of the wall, and probably some fireproof construction of the soffit. But there is an allowance for the soffit to stick into that. But there's no windows allowed at less than 5 feet, and I think windows are minimal at 5 feet.
So he wouldn't have, if we had granted, if we were to grant a variance at 5 feet, he would not have to build a firewall then.
No, but it would be much more comfortable if it was like 7 feet. It's just, then I'm not splitting hairs, you know, we're splitting that, we're right at that, 4'11" and a half, you
Right,
know.
yeah.
I'm not versed in this, I probably shouldn't speak, but if we made it 5.5 feet, it looks like that's doable, but would I have to have the whole survey again? to do
No.
that?
No, if we grant if we
I'm
decide.
reasonable, whatever works, I mean, I'll work
If we
with
grant
it.
a variance for a different amount than it's on your plan, you just have to follow that. So we wouldn't make you do a whole new plan based on that. We can certainly do that.
What's not splitting hairs? How much additional? A foot?
What do you guys think?
I said 7. That make you comfortable?
It makes it very clear that we don't have to deal with any of that fire resistance thing if you're 7 feet from the property.
If you're open to it, if I make a motion to approve the variance for this, I'm gonna change it from 5 foot from the property, the side setback to 7. So the building would have to shift an additional 2 feet.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be, so you might have to.
Or you lose 2 feet of width.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at this anyway, I don't have my survey here, and
Yeah.
he knows a lot more than me, that sounds very reasonable to me, you know?
So really, technically you're 5 feet from the line, but the road actually doesn't, it's,
So you have a lot line here, I assume.
right, this looks like it's the road
Is
right
that
out
the
here.
center line of the road, or is that the side of the road?
That should be the side of the,
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you got a little extra play there. Until they widen that street.
But he went that street, that guy 235 is gonna lose his driveway. But he's at the end, I mean, let's see, last time
That's
I
at the
gave
other, on the
statement-
other side of Glen Echo, isn't it like that? Some of those houses are right up to when they did the sewer line, and they're pretty close when they redid it.
well, what happens is that the roadway gets pushed to its limit too.
Yeah.
Because in the sewer project, there was pavement.
Yeah,
This is one, probably the only lake road that has been accepted by the town. All the other lake roads have not been accepted as a wayline.
I don't know if you were asking this too, I'm sorry, we finished that point, but that is, from where the well is, that's the edge of the road as it exists right now.
okay.
Where the well is that, if you ask me, is that the road? No, the road is here. You know, that's where the existing road goes, is right here, because my well is about, I'd say 4 or 5 feet onto, and we had to locate the well, because when I bought the home, we had to go, have somebody come out and locate the well. It was quite a project, a lot of digging, but we found it.
So one of the things that I
My
would.
water's a lot better now too.
What I would definitely also, in granting a variance, is as a condition to remove the shed, because it's outside
Okay.
the setbacks.
I have no problem.
So that would be removed, and the retaining wall for the existing driveway would be completely removed as well.
Okay.
Because your retaining wall is, it looks like it's possibly encroaching into the neighbor.
Okay.
And and I don't know if you've been sitting here, but we just went over, like, for a half an hour, a 4-foot retaining wall on the line,
Trust
so.
me, my survey crew, Frank, went up there, and they put a pin
Yeah.
marker in the middle of Speedwax new $10,000, walkway there.
Yeah,
And I told him, I said, I think it's just a measuring point, we'll find it. I go, I don't care if there's a mistake, I'm not gonna ever touch it, it's beautiful, but it wasn't, it was just a measuring point.
oh,
But I was like, because I'm watching what was going on earlier,
yeah,
because I never argued with a neighbor in my life, and I would live, I'm gonna be arguing about walls and stuff, so I talked to them, and,
Yeah, I've been doing this for so long, I mean, you guys should be getting paid for what you do, because the stuff that you have to deal with and the time consuming and the nights you hear, I've been to many zoning, planning board meetings and conservation, it's a lot to sit here. I mean, everybody wants to say their piece, but it takes up a lot of time.
he worked today, he drove from Foxborough, I said, because I'll see you about 5:30.
2.5 hours.
Yeah,
So, yeah, on the worst job day of the year, I'm like, oh, no.
You guys weren't here, the first petitioner came in from Boston, 3 hours. Yeah.
Ridiculous, I mean.
I apologize, you missed that. I was upstairs, because you guys were in the other room that time, so I'm like, there's a policeman in here, so, I was in the wrong spot.
All right, so, are you guys more comfortable with this now?
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 feet off the line, I think.
7 feet off the line, and then in the condition that the shed and the existing retaining wall for the driveway is removed. You guys okay with that too? Yeah?
The shed's gone, no problem.
Do we need to make a motion?
We just got you another 400 square feet of storage.
That's right.
God willing. God willing.
Well, 370 or something because of the thickness of the walls.
So, we haven't called anybody else, so we'll call, we've already talked to the building inspector. Anybody from, yeah, we'll still call.
Conservation.
Is there in the hallway?
Conservation, accountant, town planning board, town clerk, selectman's office, assessor, collector, board of health, economic development, police, fire, education board. Anybody else? Any abutters? Any comments? Nobody? As Ray Merzbaugh used to say, hearing none and seeing none.
Make a motion to close the public portion?
There's a motion by Eric. There's a second on that.
Second.
Second by Jason. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, someone want to make a motion for a variance?
Make a motion to approve a variance for the proposed plan with the adjustment for the side setback from 5 feet to 7 feet.
So you want it on the southerly side of the lot?
The southerly side, yep.
No, so he's asking for 10 right now. It's 15-foot setback.
15.
Yeah, so right now he's asking for 10. We would grant 8
8 feet of relief
on the side,
on the southerly side.
and then we would grant
25.
25 on the front side setback. East side, yeah, the front, yeah, front, being the east of the lot line.
With the additional condition that the shed shown on the plans be removed.
And the driveway retaining walls.
Correct.
Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Second by Jason. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion granted. So you just need to make sure you're at least 7 feet from the property line, 25 feet, 40. And then what happens is you have a 20-day appeal period. So when our clerk submits it, the zoning board will submit it to the town clerk, and then the 20 days from that. Once the 20 days is up, you'll come here, you'll pick up the variance, and you need to record the entire variance at the registry of deeds in Worcester. And then after you record it, then you can go see Kurt and do whatever.
Do you need any more copies of this?
Nope,
You need an updated plan, you sign the plan also, that my lot?
nope, no. Because we adjusted it from whatever that plan was anyway, so.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for your time. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you as well. We have the minutes from the last meeting.
They were over there.
I don't know what that's on. Is that them? Yeah, here's the minutes from the last meeting. Is there any other comments on them? Yes.
I gave my pictures out last time.
Yeah, no, I haven't.
Want the extras?
Thanks.
Thanks.
Have a good ride back.
Is there any comments on the minutes? Someone make a motion on the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as recorded.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, motion minutes approved as written. Anything else, any other business that we haven't discussed that was not on the agenda? Or, motion to end the meeting?
Make a motion to end the meeting.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion's over.